Welcome, and if you've been listening for a while, you know what these little shorter episodes are about. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. And what I'd like to do is put out shorter clips of older episodes with a little highlight what they're about, So if you find this interesting, you can go back and check out the full episode. And but before we get into all of that, I got a couple things I want to throw your way like I normally do. Big shout out to Live Rishi. These guys, awesome company. They make some high quality CBD products, all organic and easy for me to talk to you guys about this. Been using this product for years. You want to relax, rejuvenate, get a good night's sleep, got some sore muscles, any of the above, go over to liverishi.com. Check them out. Use the code word TABLE and let them know I sent you and get a kick-ass discount. Also, we're on YouTube. Yep. If you jump over to Walt's Kitchen Table on YouTube, and underneath my smiling mug, you're going to see the big red subscribe button. Would love for you to hit that and like and share. It helps the channel out a ton. And then this platform, whatever platform you're listening to this on, I'd love for you to put up a review. I found out that you don't have to actually write anything. If you just click stars, 5, of course, I'd appreciate that. And if you like what you hear, man, tell a friend or 7. So, on to the show. Welcome to Walt's Kitchen Table, where I feature captivating stories from fascinating people. Sharon Green, this is a clip. This is just a clip of our full episode. And I tell you, this lady is just a whip. I love talking to her, and we have a great time, especially when her story involves the sentence, well, I should say her story of her first date involves a sentence of, we need to break its legs. So, let's get to it. You got a story, you said? You got a story?
I could tell a story.
Oh, I like stories.
I can tell a story of my first date with my husband.
Oh, boom. Did you put out?
Well,
did I just spoil it? Did I just?
You know what? Forget the story, everybody. Walt seems to know better. So he was living and working up in Sussex County at a campground. He was doing maintenance, kind of help running it, and we were going on our first official date. We had been friends for years, but this was kind of our first official date.
Now, how did you get to that point? You're like, hey, you want to go on a date? Like what was the communication to that?
It was, we had both broken up with our significant others by that point, and through our friendship, we'd always kind of wondered, like, hey, would this work?
Right.
But the timing was never good.
Okay.
I was with somebody or he was with somebody, and then we had both, again, broken it off with who we were dating at the time, and it was like, well, hey, you know what, I want to give this a shot. And I remember saying, like, I don't want to be in my 40s one day looking back wondering what if.
Yep.
So let's give it a try. We're either going to be great or we're going to kill each other. But either way, I want to know. We need to know.
I heard a quote today said, I'd rather fail 100 times than say what if once.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we decided to go on a date. It was in November. It was like early November. In Sussex County, it's colder up there. And the campground was on a mountain. It was intended to be a quarry. So it's on a mountain. So cold spot, right?
Yeah.
So we're getting ready to go out, and I drove up to his place to meet him, and he was going to take me to a restaurant near his house. And he's like, all right. He said, well, before I go, I just got to feed the goats. They had a pen with some goats in them. It's like, okay. So I drove over that section of the campground with him to feed the goats. And now at this point, the campground's closed. It's really just him living on site, and maybe a handful of other campers that stay all year round. Okay. But otherwise, it's closed. And so he goes into the pen and he feeds the goats and everything, and he comes back to the car and he's like, well, listen, I'm really sorry to do this, but I have to take care of something before we go. He said, I fed the goats and one of them didn't come up to the trough, and that's not a good thing. So I went and checked on him, and he's dead. The poor brownie goat is dead. He said, I need to take care of this because otherwise it will attract bear and wild animal and everything. So if you want to hang out at my place, that's cool. If you want to hang out in the car, whatever. I'm like, well, if I help you, want to go faster? And he's like, yeah.
You help bury a body.
He's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I'll help you. So we load up, like the campground had this old Jeep Comanche. It was,
Oh, nice.
yeah, it was beat on, but it was a fun little truck.
Yeah.
So he threw a bunch of shovels in the back and a wrecking bar, and he picks, a tarp. He gets the goat and he carries this goat and puts it in the bed of the truck. And then we drive up the mountain into the woods, like back into the woods, because you're not going to go and bury a goat where there's a bunch of like people that camp.
Sure.
So it's in the woods. Now, if I had not known him for like by this point 5 or 6 years,
You'd be like, I'm
I'd be like,
fucking going.
this dude's making me dig my own fucking grave. Like, this is how it's all going to end. This is it. But,
and I'm okay with it.
and you know what? It is what it is. So we go up there, and now we're using the wrecking bar, and we're just digging. And I mean, it's winter, it's cold, it's rock. We're not getting very far, but we're still going by, just taking turns by the headlamps of this Jeep in the middle of the woods, pitch black.
God,
really
that's a
cold,
movie scene.
with a dead goat in the back.
Oh, that
Poor
is-
Brownie, rest in peace. And
That's her name, Brownie?
It
I
was
gonna-
its name. Brownie was its
okay.
name. And so we're just digging. And finally, we just dig as much as we can. And it's not the deepest hole, it's not the biggest hole, but it's the best one we've got. So he's like, I'm going to need you to cover your ears and turn around. I'm like, why? He's like, because he's not going to fit. So I need to break his legs. So I'm like,
Wait a minute, though. When he said cover ears and turn around, you're like, this is it. I'm gonna fucking.
I'm like, this is it. I'm coming, Elizabeth.
Hey, Mom, I'm coming.
I'm coming. So I'm like, well, why don't you just like put him on his back and bury him, and then we can just like make a table out of him. And he's like, yeah,
beautiful,
Like,
beautiful. Love your
like-
humor.
He's like, yeah, it's not okay. Then he's like, the bear will find him. I'm like, okay, fine, do what you got to do. So he takes care of that, and we cover him up, and we go to dinner. And
What'd you have for dinner?
You know what? Neither of us can remember where we went or what we had. I honestly have no recollection at all.
That is fucking
But
amazing.
so, ladies, anybody that's listening, if your date says, "Hey, want to bury a goat," it could be that you're about to dig your own grave and he's going to murder your ass, or there could be a dead goat. There could be a dead animal involved, and
Now-
he could be a great guy.
So that was 23 years ago.
That was 23 years ago, and I think he has said that night was when he's like, nope, that he knew that he was going to marry me.
Oh yeah, if somebody helps you bury a goat. But here's a question though. That's a fucking amazing story. See, this
Our first date.
I tell you what.
And bury a goat on your first date, not a euphemism. We actually buried a fucking goat.
That's a hell of a first date story, huh? You want to hear about more of the shenanigans that Sharon and I get into? Check out episode number 17. And that's called Blurry Squirrel Pictures. And you can find it on any platform that you're listening to this on. And don't forget, Live Rishi, awesome, high-quality, organic CBD products. Been using them for years. Love them. LiveRishi.com. Use the code word TABLE. Let them know I sent you and see how much we appreciate your support. And you get a kick-ass discount. And speaking of support, if you jump over to YouTube, subscribe, like, and share. I'd appreciate that. Helps it out a ton. And whatever platform that you're listening to this on, if you could throw up a review. I found out that you don't actually have to write anything. You can just click 5 stars. 5. Hint. Q. And then if you really like what you hear, tell a friend or 7. Right? As always, much love.